Monkey D. Goofy. D. Goofy. Over the slobber this bad guy.
Why would they do that, bro?
Bro, because it's getting you ready, dog. Yeah, no!
Oh shit. About to make me break into a sweat and shit. What is good, my people? It's your boy T-Rav. I'm here in the building. What's our gang? And right now, as of this moment, we got the movie of the year, people. Okay, I don't know what else to tell you. Michael B. Jordan, Jonathan Majors, Desmond Thompson, McCarthy, greatness, nigga, the big Johnny Major. I'm gonna get to that nigga. I'm gonna get to him at the end of this video. In terms of the shit this man is doing, the man, he's taking over Hollywood, people. I've been saying it, but like, if you don't know by now, now you know, okay? So, little bit of controversy get out of the way with this movie just right away. Rocky's not in it. I haven't really done much research as to why that was, but apparently he had some beef with a producer. So, hopefully, if they do bring back the series again, I would kind of like to have him a part of it. It did feel a little bit off that he wasn't, like, involved at all. You know what I'm saying? So, that was just a little thing. But honestly, it doesn't even affect this movie for me because everybody else who's in this movie goes ham, bro. Okay, so we kind of start out the movie. We're in South Africa. You know, Creed seems to be wrapping up his career. He's an old wily vet at this point. I forget the name of the boxer he's actually fighting, but regardless, he's trying to be the undisputed heavyweight champ, right? I think he's trying to collect like the third belt or whatnot, and he's in there. You know what I'm saying? He's taking fucking licks, dog, and homie's over there talking to him and shit and all that, and he's feeling good about himself, and you're like, what's going on? He kind of seems off, but at the same time, he ain't really taking no damage like that. You know what I'm saying? He's getting with shots, hard shots, but it's like, what are they really doing though? And you just see him looking at him. You see him looking at it, and bro, I gotta give a shout out to Michael B. Jordan for the shit that he did with this movie, bro, because this is his directorial debut, which is huge. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you, I thought that he might be overmatched in terms of this role, having to be the main character and also the director and all that other stuff. That's a lot of work. That's a heavy workload, but it didn't really seem to affect him at all because I think other producers were like Ryan Coogler and stuff like that, so I'm sure they gave the man the sauce, told him kind of how to do it like that, because you could tell the writers really just got in their bag in this movie, bro, because obviously he goes on, becomes the champion because, like I said, Michael B starts doing this anime type shit, bro, and it's so good because it makes sense. It's not way too dramatic to where it's just not plausible because niggas at the highest level, bro, I swear, they probably are seeing niggas like this, right? He's getting hit with shots and shots and shots, but like I said, he's just kind of looking at him and he's focusing on, like, the side of him, I guess his oblique muscles or something like that, and he's waiting on a certain twitch. So he's locked into this man, right? And he even tells his corner, like, checkmate in between the rounds before. When he gets back out there, he's letting him throw the same combination, letting him walk in the shots, he's doubling up the jab and all that. He overextends one time too many, and then this nigga Michael B. Jordan just turns into goddamn, I don't even know, bro. This nigga turned into the fucking Sasuke or something. Because this nigga's over here. Boo boo. Woo. Boo boo boo. Dog. Time starts slowing down. The nigga started moving at 3 times speed. I was like, what the fuck? What the fuck? But that just shows you what level he's at. At that point, it's like clearing away. He is the champion for a reason, right? And you hear the announcers talking, and they're like, oh, I don't know if Creed, like, happy that he came back now, not looking too good. Like, bro, the man was never really taking damage, and I like that they did that because it shows you how the fighters feel, and then how the audience overreacts, or the announcers, like, over or underreact to certain things. Like, there's certain things that you don't know what's really going on unless you're inside that ring. And hell, even other homie that's fighting him didn't know what was about to come for him because the motherfucking pain got dropped out, right? Comes the champion. He retires, living his life, you know what I'm saying, got the big mansion and all that, and you know, his daughter, he's getting to spend some quality time with her or whatever, doing tea parties and shit, you know, dad stuff. So it's really cool. And you know, Bianca's still doing her thing with the music, but she's not actually an artist anymore. She's more of a producer, and I guess she's, you know, producing songs for Kalani and all types of people now. So it's she's continuing her career in a different way as well, but she's not the star that she used to be, quote unquote, right? We find out the reason for that is, you know, she has hearing problems anyway, and she realized that, you know, she kept doing what she was going to do. More than likely, she was going to lose all of her hearing altogether. So she just decided to move into this new role, try and preserve what she had left, right? But you can kind of still tell that she misses it. Just like how Creed probably deep down misses boxing, because he's, you know, embraced the Don King role, right? He's got his own gym or whatever, and Makai Pfeiffer's training people. They actually have Felix Chavez, who's the heavyweight champion of the world at that point, because Creed's been out of the game for 3 years, I think. And yeah, man, he's doing his promoting role. Drago's still out here fighting and stuff like that, and they're hyping up the fight between Felix Chavez and Drago. That's to be coming pretty soon or whatever, but they're not training Drago, they're training Felix, and Felix is a legit boxer, you know what I'm saying? Very strange how he's like, but hey, I mean, Mexican fighters, we know what they're about. They got hell heart and all that stuff and a lot of power. And it seems like he's just cold with it. Because I don't think he's like a newbie, but he's a young man. He is young in the game. And in fact, he's been chewing through most of LA anyway, so he can't even really find sparring partners no more like that, right? To get ready for Drago. And that's where my man's going to fill that role, right? You know, Creed's doing his thing, comes out the gym, and then there's a man like linked up on his rolls, bro. And he's like, hold on, I can call you back. He's like, hey, oh, my man, you can get on my car? And he's like, oh, like that. You don't remember me, do you? Came a long way from bumming rides from your mom. And then that's when he knew that it was Damien. But it's crazy because, you know, man just got out of jail, obviously. As you probably know from the trailers. Been locked up for like 18 years, all right? So he spent over half his life in prison. And we find out that, you know, Donnie and Damien were best of friends, bro. They were basically brothers back in the day, right? Because they both lived at the same group home when Creed was about his daughter Amara's age, which is probably like 8 to 10, something like that. That's what I'm guessing. And Damien was too, but Damien's a little bit older than him or whatever, and he kind of views him as like his younger brother to a degree. Like that's, you know, and back in the day when they were young, you know, Donnie was carrying this nigga's gloves as he was going over to win the Golden Gloves, the Crenshaw Championships and things like that, because he was only probably like 16 at that point, right? So they were close as can be. I mean, this man's sneaking out so he can go with into his boxing and shit like that, right? And what's crazy, what I really like about this, it shows you where they get it from, because there's certain things that they do in the backstory and then also in present day where they, both of them have taken certain things from each other. Because, like, you know, Donnie's always approached it as know the weaknesses of the people that you fight and then kind of exploit it or whatever. Not in no dirty means, but because he's going through basically a scouting report before he goes into this little Golden Gloves championship, right? Young as shit. And he's talking about, well, he tore his labrum last year, so you want to try and make him miss, shit like that. You know, he's getting little tips and tricks as to how to approach it. And Damien's kind of kept that style all along. Now, it definitely seems like Creed has too, but obviously Damien takes it to another level. But we're going to get to all that. When they do meet and stuff like that, and he comes and, you know, chops it up with Creed for a second. He was like, well, I just want to let you know that I'm out. You know what I'm saying? I got some plans and things I'm going to do, you know, looking for a job, trying to keep my nose clean, stay out the way. But, you know, I just want to let you know I'm back. And he's like, oh, let's go get something to eat. They go get something to eat. And then they get to chopping it up. And that's when Creed really finds out how long he was away, all this other stuff. And when you see the backstory, it is Creed's fault. Like, that nigga, he got him locked up for all intents and purposes, right? So what happened in that backstory is, like, right after that championship that took place, you know what I'm saying? Donnie can't be more than like 13 or 14 at this point. And I bet Damien's like 16, 18 or something like that. But he's super young, and they're coming back from the championship. They pull up to the convenience store. Donnie's gonna go in and get some snacks and all that stuff, because, you know, he broke him off with a little bit of bread from winning and whatnot. And, you know, everything's fine, everything's normal. Donnie goes to walk in the store, and he passes by this black dude, and he was like, "Hey, y'all remember me, huh?" And I was like, so that's what I'm saying. I like how they both say certain things that the other one does later on or something like that, you know, so it was cool symmetry there. But it turns out that that was Leon, and that was the father at their foster home when they were living together or whatnot. And unfortunately, he used to beat the fuck out of him, okay? There's not really much other way to put it. They were too young to fight back at that point. And they show the scenes a little bit. You don't get to see it in full, but you know what's happening, right? He was picking on them because I guess they was young. I don't even understand what kind of man does that, bro. That's just so fucking sick and whack, and you're just a bitch ass nigga, bro. There's no other way to put it. But Donnie snaps. He sees Ray and he just starts wailing on dude, cracking that motherfucker, and he's not letting go. I'm to find out, and it cuts off right there. But what happens as it gets further and further revealed throughout the movie is that apparently Leon's boys was around the corner and started beating the shit out of Donnie, and then Damien comes around the corner with the gun. The cops pull up, Donnie runs, Damien doesn't. Damien takes the charge, and he already had a couple of priors beforehand, young black kid. Yeah, so they locked his ass up and threw away the key. So, you know, if Donnie would have never popped off like that, none of the shit would have ever happened. Yeah, I get it. He shouldn't have had a gun on him. But you got to think about it, bro. Think about the place that they're living in, right? The way they're having to go about living their life. You probably have to have some type of protection. But it wasn't like Damien was on some type of time where he was out here trying to just fucking lay motherfuckers down. He only did it to protect Donnie. And the fact that Donnie ran away and, you know, essentially forgot about this nigga is just like, it's fucked up, bro. It's fucked up. Because it could have very easily gone the opposite way. He could be the heavyweight champion of the world right now, living a wonderful life, having a family and all that stuff. And instead, he was stuck in a cell for over half of his life. Like, so, you know, Donnie tries to offer him some money and stuff like that. And he's like, yeah, no, keep that. I'm not out here looking for a handout or nothing like that. All right. You know, I want to earn my shot. My dream is still the same. I want to be the champ. And, you know, Donnie's skeptical and stuff like that. I mean, he's like, you want to look at these? Or he was like, no, I'm serious. Like, I kept myself in shape. I still got a little gas in the tank. And that's all he basically asked for is a shot. And he's kind of telling him how it's like, not going to happen, not going to happen. But he sees that he needs this, bro. He sees that he needs this, right? Because, and I'm sure he wants to restore his boy kind of to what he used to be. Because, you know, Damien used to be super flashy, you know, and just cool dude, great dude. But he was like, you know, out here, he had the swag. He was macking on the chicks, you know. He was looking out for Donnie, showing him the ropes of the streets and whatnot and all that. But it seemed like he was on a decent path because he was dedicated to boxing. But when that all got taken away and now you're out here and you're probably in your late 30s, you know what I'm saying? Boxing's a young man's game, bro. People don't just come out of the woodwork when they're 30 plus and start fighting like that. Like, it just doesn't happen. So when he sees the look in his face like that, I think he was like, I gotta like help my man with something. Like, I gotta give him a shot. So he doesn't come to the gym, gonna do some sparring and stuff like that. Obviously, Creed's not fighting no more, but he does need people to fight Felix, at least to spar with him, in order to get ready for Drago. And this is when it begins. And like, one thing I also want to point out too, through this whole time leading up, Dame is being like mega humble, bro. Like, yeah, he is pressing Donnie, but he's not being like disrespectful about it. You know what I'm saying? He's still treating him super, super well and all that. So I just thought it was interesting how, like, he's really in the same position that Rocky was in, if you think about it. Like, yeah, Creed got a shot before he shouldn't have because name, lineage, all that other stuff. This guy is literally like how Rocky was. Rocky was just wasting away in some gutter, fighting fights and smoking cigarettes and drinking beer and doing all this other stuff. But his career was going nowhere, and the champion, Adonis Creed, Apollo Creed, needed somebody to beat up on, right? Well, you know what I'm saying? Damien's not here to do that. He wants a legit shot, you know what I'm saying, to become the champion. But the problem is, he just hadn't put his time in the game like that, right? Because, like, before this sparring session starts, I will refer back to one scene that happened before, because, like, you know, I guess he had invited him over to the house or whatever. He shows up, he's got his jean jacket, his beanie on, you know what I'm saying, trying to be presentable. He even brought flowers for Bianca and stuff like that. And he's so genuine, bro. That's what, like, kills me about this movie, bro. It's like, he's so genuine in this whole first act and everything like that. And I truly don't think he ever really hates Creed. I really don't. But it's just this one thing he can't get past. He can't get past the fact that his opportunity was taken away. And then I come to see you and you got your big fancy house, see-through floors and all that other stuff. But it was so cool when, like, he came over and met his family. And then Amara walks up and she signs and stuff. And he's like, oh, what do I do? And, you know, Donnie teaches him right quick the sign of, like, you know, nice to meet you. And he does it. And then she responded. He was like, oh, that's so sick. Awesome. Yeah, like, bro, it was just little wholesome moments like that. That was just like, it makes what happens later on in this movie just fucking kill me, bro. But I get it. I really do. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, so I guess Amara goes wherever. They're talking up on the roof. Him, you know, Donnie, Bianca, just kind of catching up and stuff. And he was like, you know, talking to Donnie about how, like, hey, you remember them bed bugs that we used to have at that group home or whatever? And he was surprised that he had never talked about it with Bianca, about the time they spent at the group home. But he responds to him, he's like, yeah, no, I try to forget. And he's like, man, I can't forget them damn things. But he was laughing about it, which shows me one very distinct difference between the two. Both of them went through hell in that place that they were at, but Damien treated it like, at least I'm going through hell with somebody. You know what I'm saying? And I'm sure that was everything to him. That maybe I don't have anybody else in this world. I don't have family, whatever. But I got this one friend who was basically my family. You know what I'm saying? So, but on the other hand, you know, Michael B's character doesn't even want to think about it at all. He wants to completely forget about it. He never even talks about it. He's never brought it up to Bianca or nothing like that. Which, that poses a little... That creates the rift in the movie, to be honest, is like his inability to talk about that stuff that went down. But I understand it, bro. And I think the issue really only came about because his wife, Bianca, keeps pressing him throughout the movie about stuff. She has no idea what she's talking about. But, hey, you know, you can't solve all your problems with fighting, right? Yeah, we'll get to that. That's my only little nitpick of the movie, but regardless, that's way in the future. And when they're chopping it up at the house, then it's just Donnie and Damien. And like I said, he's pressing pretty hard, but he's like, I never got my shot. I just want a chance. I didn't keep myself in shape to be a punching bag for some youngin' like that. Like, think about it. You got your shot. Rocky got a shot. Like, why can't you take a chance on me? You know what I'm saying? So he's giving him a hell of a pitch. But also, Drago's slated to fight the champ, right? So now we flash forward to the spar. And I love how Damien walks in, bro. Every place that he goes, you notice this thing. He acts a certain way with Donnie, and he shows that softer side, like who he really seems to be. But at the same time, whenever he goes to different places and seeing new people, he's walking around like he's in prison, bro. Like the way he's just walking and looking at everybody and surveilling his surroundings at all times. Like I thought that was sick, and that shows you without having to show you just how much prison changed the man. You know what I'm saying? Because he's getting down and he's still operating like he's still in there in a sense. Because he comes into the gym with a chip on his shoulder, and you know, dude, Mekhi Phifer's character, he recognized that kind of right away. And you hear him in the gym, he's I was like, yo, why is it that every time this nigga chooses to do a role where I guess he's got a fucking fight, he does all these fucking sound effects? It sounds so cool. I know it's fucking dumb, but it's actually great, bro. It sounds so cool. It makes this nigga more menacing and all this other stuff. But you're like, okay, this nigga jacked as fuck, but we don't really know what kind of skill he has, you know what I'm saying? Like we said, his pedigree is that he was a Golden Glove champion in the Crenshaw district way back in the day. How much fighting has he been doing? I mean, my man was in prison for 18 years. I think he's been fighting a little bit. Okay, I'm just saying. But anyways, you hadn't been boxing though. That's the thing. You're fighting some fighters, all right, and that's something else I'm gonna get to. But I'm gonna save all the picks for the end. All right, save it all for the end. Gets in there. It's gonna start sparring because nobody else wants to spar Felix because Felix is over here knocking out every single sparring partner that he goes against. And he's in there with Damien, and he's popping the fuck out of Damien. Like Damien is like doing his best to kind of guard, but is getting through and stuff like that. Or whatever, and he's having to try and be on the front foot, but he's getting walked down a bit. But as the fight kind of starts going, he lands a couple shots on Felix, but nothing substantial. Felix keeps fucking popping this nigga head back. It's like he can't even react to the speed like that, how it is. But like I said, he's fucking jacked as fuck, and he's taking licks, son. All right, and it's not really hurting him like that. So then when he starts doing, this is where we see how he fights. He's a dirty fighter, okay? I'm not going to lie to you. There's a lot of stuff that he does that's dirty, but I also think that there's some things that are more so, he's doing things that you probably shouldn't do, and they're more like unwritten rules of the sport. Like, to me, I don't consider hitting the motherfucker's arm when you're in the ring a foul of any kind or whatever. And technically, it's not, they're not going to stop it or whatever. But he starts doing these shots to pinpoint, you know, weaknesses in Felix. And I didn't know if he had a scout report on that nigga before, but it seemed like he was like, okay, let me turn the tide of this a little bit. Felix goes to fucking overshoot one time. This nigga throws some hella unorthodox punch looping around that hits him on the top of his shoulder and shit. And his mom is his trainer or whatever, Felix. And she's like, hey, keep it clean. I'm like, oh, your boy was just out here knocking dudes out, okay? Stop it. You're in a fight. Now, I'll say this. When you're in a spar, you're not supposed to be trying to go that hard to kill them. You know what I'm saying? But you're in there to give them a look, to get prepared for whatever their next opponent is. And there probably wouldn't be any better look than what Drago's going to bring is what Jonathan Majors fucking give you. But, like I said, he's a 30 fighter. And then, you know, he hits him like that, starts slowing Felix down a little bit, then you start to see his shots are starting to get through, and he's throwing with fucking power. But Felix keeps putting it on him a little bit. Then the next thing he does, he fucking gets in the clinch, and then he starts fucking kneeing him. But he's doing it in such a slick way, and he's like kneeing him on his thigh and his knees and shit like that to slow him down. And like I said, he's doing it in a slick way to where he can't really get caught. But Felix is complaining about it and things like that. And he's like, yeah, just fight. You're not built like that, bro. And it's so funny because then he starts fucking talking to it. He's like, yeah, you're not really built like that, huh? And, bro, they start going at it, bro. They start going back and forth. But like I said, he's just landing these little shots that's, like, kind of disabling this nigga. Because I'm sorry, bro. If I get into a spar, right, and I see that we're not really on it like that, we're going like, you know, a certain percent, cool. I'll kind of match that. I'm not going to go in there and try to fucking kill you, right? But if I get in there and a nigga is doing blatantly dirty stuff, well, fuck it then, my nigga. You know how he fights now. Just adapt and fight against it. But he gets in other little slick shots until it's to the point where he's fucking tagging Felix hard as fuck. And he's changed the whole complexion of the sparring match. And Felix is getting pissed off and everything. And this nigga Johnny Majors, boy, he keep on talking that shit to him. He's like, you really not built like that, huh, bro? Oh, it's so good. And then, you know, they get into it real bad. And then, you know, Damian steps out the ring. Duke's going crazy because he's pissed off and he's mad at Donnie because he's like, why did you bring him here? He's showing you who he is. Believe him. You know what I'm saying? He ain't come here to box. He came here to fight. He's fighting the world. He's trying to hurt somebody. You know what I'm saying? And he's telling that to Creed, but I don't think that was really soaking into Creed. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, he hops out the ring. Donnie goes, tries to calm him down. He's like, what you doing? And he's like, I'm doing my job. And he's like, hey, listen, relax. Like, and he's like, I told you what I want, Donnie. Told you. And he was like, just take a breather, relax, take a walk right quick. Let me fix this. You're good. Like, just relax. Leave all that extra stuff out of the ring, bro. That's all you gotta do. It's fine. Obviously, that wasn't gonna happen. Then he goes over to Duke, and Duke's just chewing him out because he's like, I told you, like I said, he's telling him all that stuff about, I told you not to bring him here, yada, 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 all this other stuff. He's just a bad dude, basically, is what he's saying. He's like, you owe him nothing. I'm not running a charity here. I don't know what you see in this dude, but like I said, he's showing you who he is. You need to fucking believe him at a certain point. So, next scene is kind of like a label party that they end up going to. So it's something that Bianca had invited Damian to or whatever. So obviously Donnie's there and all types of people. You know, Kalani's performing the song that she had wrote in the beginning of the movie and whatnot. And like I said, you still see him over there like he's surveying the room, like he's on high alert. He's looking at everybody, where Damian is and all this other stuff, and you don't know if he's really, it doesn't seem like this place is kind of suited for him like that anymore. Unlikely. But, and Donnie comes over to him. He's like, hey, don't worry about any of all that stuff, because Drago's also there, and, you know, Felix is there, and they're kind of promoing the fight a little bit as well, kind of facing off and whatnot. And, he's like, don't worry about all of them. There's a lot more things around here that you need to be focusing on, you know what I mean? Number one, the booty! The booty! Oh, my goodness. Label parties? What? You got Kalani's all over the place and things like that? Yeah, I really wouldn't be focused on no big Russian dude and the fucking Mexican, okay? I'm sorry. I'm just not. I'm going to be focused on the bitches, okay? But, and I love these little scenes, bro, because then it shows their dynamic again. Because he gets all fucking bashful and he's like, oh no, you right. And then he pulls out his freaking hairbrush like the regular niggas that I grew up with from fucking East Texas, deep in the motherfucking streets. I just pull out the hairbrush. He's like trying to brush his fucking naps out. It's just so good, bro. It's so wholesome whenever they're just being brothers, basically. It's just, but I can't express enough how those type of scenes make this movie that much better. Because without that, the blood going, you know, boiling over and turning bad, like they wouldn't have had the same amount of impact. And I think that was the only thing that was lacking in Creed number 2 is because Drago wasn't a bad guy. He wasn't. And really neither is Dame, but Dame has these two sides to him at the same time. You know what he wants, and he doesn't have a lot of time. He feels a sense of urgency because he's old, bro. Like, his clock is ticking. He said this again and again. But obviously, when he gets in the ring, he's willing to do extra stuff to get where he needs to go. And it doesn't seem like he's just trying to overcome the skill gap what you would expect a boxer to do. He's a fighter. He's gonna get in there, he's gonna mix it up with you, and he's gonna make it fucking greasy as shit. So if you can't handle that, you're not gonna beat this dude. So they're in this label party, and you know, Dame starts talking with Bianca, and he appreciates and thanks her for inviting him to the party. He says that he's enjoying it. You can kind of tell it's not his thing like that, like I said. But then they get to talking, and he was like, well, so how do you feel when someone else performs your song like that? You gotta feel good, right? She was like, yeah, feels really good. And she was just going on how cool it is or whatever. But he's like, you gotta miss it though. And she kind of admits that she does, but she's like saying how she's embracing what she's doing right now, and even points out that, you know, Donnie used to hate going to these things, but now he's in this bitch in here like swimwear with his fucking suit on, and he's Don Kinging it up. And I like that. Damien made that little joke or whatever. He was like, oh, I'm getting the Don King on over there, minus the hair, thank God. So it's just funny little moments like that. But then he asked her like, well, do you think Donnie ever misses it? And she was like, well, no, not that he tells me. And see, you know, come on now. Yeah, he misses boxing. That nigga spent most of his life boxing, and now he don't really do it anymore. He just retired 3 years ago. I know it seems like if you've had 3 years, you're good, and you're stepped into your new role, and you're not worried about nothing else, but it's hard, bro. Especially when you can get out there and still whip these niggas' asses. This nigga still had shit in the tank. He was dispatching niggas like it was nothing, right? So that kind of shows you where Dame's mindset is with that. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, he respects Bianca for what she's doing, and Creed to a degree, but he's not going to go about it like that. He's going to go all in or nothing. Because like I said, he doesn't have a lot of time. So then, out of nowhere, she starts asking about what really happened at the group home. And then she learns about Leon. And then I kind of told you how the whole story went down. But he only tells her that they just lived there. And how Donnie snapped on his ass that one time. And, you know, shit happened. She wanted to know more about Leon. He wouldn't say. He was like, it's not really my place, to be honest. Which I respect him for that. Like, he told as much as he could say, but I'm not going to tell you something that Donnie hasn't told you yet. Clearly, there's a reason why. You know, that must still be a lot on him. And it's good because, like, it wasn't his place to say that. Donnie needs to say that himself. Right? But then, you know, he kind of gets out of that conversation or whatever. Then some fucking light-skinned fucking thug out of nowhere comes and cracks Drago and then fucking takes a crowbar or something and smashes this nigga's wrist and shit. So obviously he gets arrested or whatever, sent off. Who the fuck knows what happened with him, right? It's very odd stuff. Obviously the fight is now off. And because they were only, I think, a couple weeks away or something like that. This is a 6-month recovery. Felix can't afford to wait to the end of the year. He needs a fight now. But the problem is, again, any other contenders are either recovering from their fights or it's just not going to work due to time constraints and things like that. And plus, there's no other people really out there in the pool. So the plan he comes up with is to give Damien the shot. Now, you know, Duke is completely against it, but at the same time, he's like, you know, I don't agree with it. I don't want to do it. But hey, you know, I'm not the boss, so just it's y'all's call. And he takes the fight. And in fairness, if you're, let me just say it. If you're like a 25-year-old young lion just now entering your prime, you're already the heavyweight champion of the world. What the fuck should some old ass nigga have for you, bruh? I'm sorry, bruh. Because the nigga has to be like 38, something like that. Hasn't had no fights in how many years? Official fights, sanctioned fights, who knows what he was doing. But a Rocky type of dude, it's like that type of situation. He is a literal nobody. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I understand he's not fighting clean, he's not fighting fair, but an old nigga shit have nothing for you, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you. So he takes the fight, and I'm sure that was kind of his thinking, but he definitely was not ready for what was to come. And this is where the shit gets good, boy, because when they get into this fight, and let me just say, walkout songs for Damien, sick. Love the Nipsey Hussle love. Why is it that everybody always gets better walkout music than Creed? I don't understand, but that's besides the point. He starts getting into this championship bout with Felix, and obviously he's the heavy underdog, all that. But gets in the fight, you know, he's getting fucking worked on pretty good in the first round. And then, you know, start sneaking them shots in there. And I'm telling you, every time this man hits with some force, he over here, and he's so unorthodox, and he's not really protecting himself, and he's overreaching for certain shots, but he's so unorthodox, you can't really stop it like that, right? And plus, he's doing these little dirty shots. He even catches this nigga with an elbow across the fucking eye, bruh, and like, yeah, that was dirty as fuck, I'm not gonna lie. That was the dirtiest move he did by far in the whole thing. And that's what really gets them like into it in this fight or whatever. But he's doing the same shit again. He's throwing the shots where it's like landing on top of the shoulder. And then you see that Felix is over here having to like shake it out. He throws and overextends, and then he hits him up under his arms and shit like that. Working the body, doing the knees shit again. When he gets in the clinch, he's fucking, you know, sneaking illegal shit that shouldn't be able to do, but the ref doesn't have good position, can't see it. And this is what I was saying again. I'm sorry, bro. If I get into that situation, I'm going to say, okay, I know he's dirty, fight around it anyway. Because there was a way to outbox this nigga, but, you know, when you're riled up and you're all out of sorts because the nigga's doing this dirty shit, and then in between rounds, he's not even talking to his trainer because he's a fucking scrub who didn't need to be in this nigga's corner. That nigga was trash, bro. I'm sorry. But that's the point. He's useless. And he doesn't use it. He moves him out. He's like, move the fuck out of the way. I know what I'm doing. Water. And he's looking at him. He's looking at Felix. And then he starts seeing the little spots on his body where the bruises start to mount up, where they're putting the ice and different stuff like that. And he's over looking, he's like, But you see that he's taking damage too. When they go to take out his mouth guard, his tooth comes out. You know what I'm saying? Crazy stuff. So he's not taking no risk to do this dirty shit. Like, he's getting clocked and hit his goddamn self, bro. So that's why I was like, I can't respect it, but I respect it because if you're willing to take the fucking pain too, then it's about really who can last longer. You know what I'm saying? Starts getting into this next round. He's really starting to put it on Felix at this point. You know what I'm saying? He's doing this cross guard stuff to stop like the really heavy shots from getting through. But then he's working his body and he's ripping this motherfucker, bro. But he's still getting tagged his damn self. And they're getting into a bit of a slugfest. But you can tell that the damage is really starting to take a toll on Felix. He's got the cut right here that's really swelled up and stuff like that from the elbow he took. And he doesn't really seem all there on his feet. He doesn't have the speed of his punches anymore because he's been hitting his arms in certain spots where it's probably hard just to lift them bitches up at this point. But he's got heart. I'm not going to say the man ain't got heart. Man's a champion. And we know that Mexican fighters are renowned for how they don't back down. They got that walk forward style. They are going to walk you down and trade. They're not really trying to out here win on points. And that's not what this nigga's trying to do. But if you really wanted to beat Damien, because I don't think he had the power to put Damien away. That's the thing we have to give credit to Damien for. I think the only person that would knock that nigga out cold is probably Drago. But I don't think Drago would win the fight either because the nigga would fight dirty. But hey, I think that would be a much better matchup for Drago, though, in terms of him against him instead of going against Creed. I'll tell you that much. Because, you know, Creed knows how to do both. He never fights dirty, but he knows how to fight and he knows how to box. What Damian's doing is basically straight up fighting with some boxing mixed in or whatever, right? So as the rounds are going, and we can't be but like third or fourth round, something like that. And you can tell that the tide is turning on Felix like bad. He's getting fucked up now. And Damian's just stringing shots together. He's literally like running into certain punches and he's counter punching him when he can. And the shots are getting through the guard and all this stuff. And bro, he's a bloody mess at this point. Like Felix is taking so much damage, it's crazy. And you really start to worry about the nigga's safety. So much so that Creed came to their corner, like before that final round was coming in the fourth round, and was like, "Champ, can you fight? Are you good?" And you know, obviously he ain't gonna back down, but you should kind of know this would probably be the time to throw in the towel if you were gonna do it. But they weren't gonna do it, bro. And Dust Thompson even takes Amara up out of there. Because they're rooting for Felix or whatever, because that's his fighter. But he's kind of in a weird spot with that, I think, as he went into the fight. But I do think he was expecting Felix to win. Probably rooting for him. That's his man. He's promoter for him, right? Bianca takes out Amara. Which I guess it was getting so brutal. I didn't want to stay and watch it no more. It's a fight, okay? I'm sorry. In there, watching the fight. But it was, I guess she did take her out of there because she was probably worried that this nigga Felix was about to die in the ring. And that's damn near what happened, bro. Because John Majors kept putting them shots on him, and then he fucking clocks his nigga out cold, boy. Out cold. And you see the blood all over this nigga's face. He's got a fucking pool of blood on his chest. Like this nigga just got shot. That shit was kind of crazy, I'm not gonna lie. But, you know, he had to go to the hospital. He in critical condition or whatever, stuff like that. But he would go on to be fine, to be honest. As far as we know. But, I mean, it was close, bro. If that fight would have went much longer, that nigga probably would have died in the ring. And then when he knocked him out like that, everybody's rushing to Felix. Check on him and stuff. And then you see John Vake. He in the ring. Bro, that shit was so cool. Yeah. That shit is hype, son. I'm sorry. Nigga came from nowhere. He said he wanted a shot. He got his fucking shot and he fucking delivered. That's what you want about the dirty boxing. But he did it. He did it, bro. And the look on this man's face when they came to put the belts around his waist, bro, he was shaking because he was so happy. And when they raised his arms, he was like, look, bro, look. Oh! And that's why I love this movie, bro, because it puts you in such a weird spot. No, I don't particularly give a fuck about Felix. I'm not going to lie to you. Maybe if it was Drago that got dismantled like that, I would be a lot more worried and, you know, upset for him, right? But, you know, in all honesty, Felix kind of needed to be humbled, to be honest. You know, I'm just going to say it. Didn't deserve what he got, but that shit was going to happen at some point, in my mind, because... Number one, you either got to outfight that nigga in that moment, or you need to learn how to outbox him. And it didn't seem like Felix was in the position to do either one of them. It's kind of crazy how we done got one of the only Mexican fighters that don't seem to know when to pull the fucking dog out of him. But hey, that's, you know, I'm not going to go too hard on it, because it's like, it is what it is, right? But when he said that, he's, look, bro, look. And the look on Creed's face said everything, bro. And he's kneeled down next to Felix. Felix is out, bro. And he just looks at him like, I can't believe you did this. Like, and I want to be, you know he wants to be happy for him. You know he does. But when you do it in this way, how can I respect that? I stuck my neck out for you. I brought you in home. You met my child. You wanted a shot. I went way out on a limb for you. And by all odds, against all odds, you did it. But can we not box? Can we not box? And it's crazy because he wasn't like that when they showed him in the Golden Gloves Championship. He was just good. He had skill. Obviously, prison changes a lot of things. But in that moment, see how happy Damien was, and then looking to his brother to be happy for him too, and then that doesn't happen. We all get it, but it must just feel like this nigga's just abandoned him all over again. And that was the turning point where you could tell that it was about to really go sideways. Obviously, besides the fact that this nigga was the promoter for the fighter that you just damn near killed. And all the fallout after this kind of crazy, because then Duke's coming after this nigga, telling him, stay away from the gym. You fucked up. This is your fault. You can't fix this. Just stay away. Don't come near the gym. Just stay away. Look what you did, Donnie. Look what you did. This is the situation we have on our hands. Not only did he basically kill the golden goose of his promotion, but now he's put in jeopardy his whole, everything he's got going for himself as a promoter at this point. Because I'm sorry, as a promoter, you get him an easier fucking trash can to run through. You don't throw a nigga like Damien in there. Especially when you did get a little sample as to how he fights now in the spar. There was no indication to tell you that he was going to fight any different. And he didn't. He fought exactly how he fought before. So you can't really say it's anybody else's fault but your own. Right? And then it kind of starts. And then his mother calls him over and tells him that she had been keeping something from him. All these letters. She pulls out this box. All these letters from Damien, bro. Because Donnie was confused as to why he received no letters ever. And he's like, where'd you send them? I sent them to Mama Creed. Because he apparently been writing them all this time. But he didn't know why Donnie just, didn't respond or never came to see him. He probably kind of just thought he's just trying to forget about it. And on this one, it's definitely Mom's fault, bro. And he gives it to her, bro. He says, none of all this would have happened. He treated me more like family than any of your other kids in this house ever did. He was with me before you knew anything about me. That's hard. That's true, but it's harsh. And she says it. You don't pull your punches, do you? But just so you know, that at one point in time, Damien may have had your back, but that's not what he's doing right now. She pulls out a photo, and it shows him, and I guess his boys from prison, who took a picture and sent it to Creed, because he had said how he watched all his fights and everything like that. And it shows him, and then it shows that light-skinned dude. So then you come to find out that he has kind of been playing him this whole time. He arranged that assault on Drago in order to manufacture himself a shot at the title, which he didn't really deserve, but he had to fast track it some way. So now he's the champ, and when he goes to confront him about it, he's out at a beach party. You got all these people with him, and all these gangsters and bitches and everything, right? And he pulls up, he's walking out in this suit, and then someone tries to come put his fucking hand on his chest and tell him to stop, and he fucking clocks this nigga out cold. And then someone else pulls up on him with a gun, and he's like, it's like that now, huh? That's how we doing it? And Damien walks over and is like, put that away, takes it away from him, puts it up, and he's like, What's up, Donnie? Still being normal right now. But then when, you know, Donnie reasonably starts giving it to this nigga a little bit, he's like, oh, hold up, bruh. Because he was like, I did this and this for you. I gave you a shot. I put the gloves on your hand. And he was like, hold up. If I recall, I was the man. You were carrying my gloves. That's why I remember. And he's like, you know, yeah, I needed you. I needed you for 18 years. And yeah, when I got out, I still needed you. But now, I don't need you for nothing or nothing. I was like, oh, it's so good. It's so good. Because, bro, I'm sorry. If you've known people like that, then you know that this nigga John Matrix killed this role, bro. He's so good, and I'll say it all the time. And it's this whole back and forth scene between him and Donnie, and he's telling him, like, how it's messed up what he did, all that other stuff, how he invited him in his home and all this stuff, and how he gave him his opportunity and all that. And the way that this nigga Damien retorts with how you just run out on your people. You helped me out this once, but where were you at all this time or whatever? And imagine you think you're mad. You really think that you're mad. But imagine living half your life in a cell while another nigga goes and lives the life that you thought you deserved. And for all intents and purposes, that's the track he was on. Because people misremember. It's not like Donnie was some crispy, all state American boy that everybody loved when he was young too. No. And he even admits as much. Like, he was like, me and Dame we both weren't angels, but obviously we didn't deserve what we went through or whatever. So he has a point. He could have very well, if that night would have never happened, the roles could very well be reversed, or Donnie may have never just popped off like how he did, right? But then they really start getting into it or whatever, and then he asks him like, "Oh, are you threatening me now? Like, this is what you're doing?" And Damien's like, fucking clocks this nigga, bruh. Drops him down to a knee. He's like, ain't no threats here, bro. I don't need nothing from you now. Nothing. It's so funny. And then he gets up in his fucking mug. And he's like, oh, yeah, you mad, huh? Yeah. He's like, imagine another nigga living your life. I was like, oh, bro. Why is he like this? Because the only reason why he came back, got in his mug like that, because he was yelling out all types of insults, bro. He was like, yeah, run away again, Donnie. Yeah. Baby Creed. I was like, yo, when he said that, I was like, yeah, press that fucking button. And Apollo's always been Adonis's trigger point, you know what I'm saying? In terms of like how he's trying to not live in his shadow, but he'll always inevitably be there, but be his own man, all that. We've dealt with that throughout all the movies. And I'm sure that Damien knows full well how he feels about that. So for him to start throwing that stuff out now, I think that's when he really knew, like, you know, Damien's he's not going to stop at this point. And then, you know, going forward, he's been the one named the new king of boxing at this point. Like, he's out here dominating. He's the champ, and he's got all the belts now. And like I said, it's hard to tell how long the time was going between like when Creed really retired and then this time frame of when, you know, Damien's first introduced to when he becomes champion. That's still a little fuzzy for me, but I imagine this all kind of takes place in a year's time, right? But yeah, when he went back home after that, you know, Bianca comes to him and obviously wants to know what happened. or whatever. He didn't want to talk about it. And she keeps pressing this dude and pressing this dude. And he's like, I don't need a therapy session. I don't want to talk about it. And then she starts giving it to him about, you're going to have to open up, this and this. Is it me? No. And then she says, is it about Leon? And he was like, where'd you hear that name at? Dane told me. And he's like, you know what? I don't want to talk about this. Just leave it alone. Leave it be. And obviously the kid walks out as they're arguing. I thought that was a little much, personally, but I understand it. But how we then go to turn Donnie into the bad guy in that situation is like, my man is trying to sort through his thoughts. He already showed in the series that at number 2, when he really needs help, he will come to you and confide in you. You are his rock. You are the one who's been there the whole time. All this stuff. Why you feel the desire to press this nigga at this very moment? Can you let him figure it out? Because I'm sorry, at the end of the day, people, I get it. You should talk to your loved ones. You should talk things out and let them know how you're feeling. All this other stuff. I get all of that. I do. Number 1, not everybody wants to talk that shit out. And then, number 2, everybody deals with those type of things in their own time and eventually will probably come to you anyway. So it's like, why do we have to press? Why do we have to press like this right now? And then he's the bad guy for it or whatever. So, you know, that's just kind of how that goes. Then the next scene happens and his mother has had another stroke. Because earlier in the movie, they were trying to convince her, come live with them. But she refused to do it. She wants to stay in her house. She had another stroke. Right? And you can clearly see she's not long for this world. She's on her deathbed. You know, Bianca calls him to tell him to come on and come say goodbye and stuff like that. And you really can see how close she is with the mom as well. And she talks about it, how like she didn't have a mom like that, so his mom was essentially her mom. And they were very, very close. You could definitely tell that. So it tore her up too. But that was definitely a very emotional scene. And that was a sick scene too. Because she's talking to him and he's apologizing and saying, I didn't mean any of it. And she was like, no, it's okay. I made my mistakes and stuff like that. But, oh, your face. You just came in here from day one just knocking fools out, huh? And she starts laughing and talking about it and how she enjoyed. It seemed like she just enjoyed the privilege of raising him, bruh. And I'm not gonna lie to you, that hits home for me because I'm not really gonna go in on it like that, but that a very similar situation happened to me. That's kind of like that, so I'll just kind of leave it at that. But then she switches, and obviously she had a stroke, so there's clearly damage that's been done, and she thinks that he's Apollo, and she talks about how she was so angry with Apollo. She's so angry with Apollo for leaving her. And how she wishes that he could have met his son Adonis. Because Adonis is what saved her life. And she's talking to Donnie like he's Apollo and telling him this. And the smile on her face. And she's crying. But she's happy, bro, because she doesn't regret it. And I know that she fucked up. She did. She did. But it doesn't change the fact that she took so much pride in raising this dude. So I'm not going to lie to you. I wasn't expecting to have another level of emotional impact in this movie besides the main rivalry and going on in it. But that was definitely a nice touch. And it really kind of brought things into focus. And then after that, that is when, you know, after the funeral and all that, that's when he really opens up to Bianca and lets her know how what happened at the group home and all that stuff. And then she's like, well, they kind of break it down. It's like, well, he's not going to stop. So It's to a point you're just gonna have to fight him because he's out here. Oh, he's doing all types of stuff, boy. But then this nigga shows up on First Take. And when I heard Stephen A's voice, I knew that shit was gonna get real. Because when this nigga came on the screen, I was like, oh, here we are. First Take, baby, in the house. Love it. But Stephen A is like, you know, talking with him. And he's like, yeah, so we got to talk about the elephant in the room. You was the champion, and I believe you was the best fighter. You know, Stephen A doing Stephen A things. Oh, he was the champion. That was 3 years ago. 3 years. Now Damian, they're saying he's the new king of boxing. I was like, what you got to say to that? And he's talking with Stephen A, and all of a sudden they get a call because Damian's watching First Take as well. And then Stephen A's like, put him on. Put him on. Man calls up and it's like, what's up, Donnie? And he's like, Damian, this isn't the time or the place. It's like, it's not the right way to handle it. And he was like, well, we're live. And yeah, this is how we gonna handle it. I was like, yo, why is he like this? Honestly, he's just coming to him on smoke. He's been saying for months how he runs out on his homeboys. He don't care about family, all this other stuff, how he's a fraud and a coward. And bro, he's giving it to him. And obviously, it just amps up the fight even more. We immediately go into training montage. And obviously, they're breaking down how Creed's had basically every injury in the fucking book. And you know that Damian's going to be targeting them shit. So they got to build his body back up again in order to take that pounding. But also kind of reignite the fire of the champ. And he even brings Drago in to spar with him. And Drago is absolutely decking this motherfucker, bro. He is putting it on him. And he's like, oh, maybe this isn't a good idea. Donnie takes his fucking head guard off. Because he's been getting knocked up with shots all day long. And Bud Crawford's helping train too and all this other stuff. And he's like, yeah, where you going? And he gets in his mug, gets knocked down again. And then he's like, all right, come on, let's go. And that's when you see like, okay, the champ's starting to wake up again. You know, I had to take a few bangs to really feel what the shit's like again. But we're back, baby. And Drago loves it. Because when he gives him a good shot, he spits out the blood on the ring. It's like, let's go. Well, that shit was really dope. I'm not gonna lie. Dame's trained hard as fuck. He over here on the ropes and he, I was like, yo, why does this man get more jacked as the movie goes long? It don't even make no sense. This nigga gets bigger and bigger every single fucking time. I'm sorry. This nigga Michael B, you're pretty fucking cut too, bro. This nigga Jonathan Majors is cut from stone, nigga. He got from stone. All right. Get to the fight. Creed's the underdog. All right. Heavy underdog. Again, trash walkout music. I don't understand it. Damian's is really good though. And Damian is ready to go, boy. He's already locked into this fight because as soon as he does ring walk, he comes in, then he starts skipping around, gets up in this nigga's mug, walks back to his corner, fight starts, round one's going. You can tell that Donnie's clearly like amped up for this fight. He's not so amped up where he's out of control like how he was when he went to fight Drago, but he's in there talking to him as well. Like, well, you thought this was gonna be easy? Now Donnie's giving him some fucking shots too. And he's talking to him too. He's like, let's see if you learned any moves. Or whatever. He's like, I'm gonna be here all day, right in the middle. Round one ends, and he's like, yeah, don't go nowhere. He's like, I'll be right back. So they're fucking just chirping at each other the whole time, right, dog? But then McGraw Pfeiffer's like, okay, you know what's gonna happen now. Now he's gonna start the dirty shit. So you're ready for it. He makes mistakes. Expose those mistakes. You know, do what you gotta do. You know what to do. You're the fucking champ. And they start going. Obviously, this nigga's doing this little dirty shit. He's hitting him on certain spots, but this nigga's built up his body, so it seems like he's taking it. I mean, he was literally trained about punching the fucking tree with the hand wraps on, but he was trying to toughen up his hands. He was like pulling trucks and planes and stuff like that. It's crazy. So he's built up his body enough to kind of stand the punishment. But it gets to a point in the fight where it seems like it's just them. And then it actually gets to that point where all the crowd goes away and it's just them in the ring. And they're looking at each other before the bell sounds. And they get up. Like I said, crowd disappears. All you hear is the ding. And they get in there. woo, 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 woo. And I love how they did this fucking scene, bro. And it's crazy because it goes into this and you don't know where they're at in the fight. You're just in the fucking fight, dog. These niggas don't know how many rounds in they are. They don't know nothing. All they hear is the bell and then they just see each other. They don't hear the crowd or nothing. And it's so clean, bro. Because Johnny Major just put shots on this nigga. And he's doing his fucking cross-guard shit, but this nigga's getting through, popping uppercuts. And then he's doing crazy shit, dog. He's taunting this nigga. Damien comes out, he's like this, and then he's like, bro, and he literally smiles in this nigga's face. This nigga thought he gets pissed, fucking clocks him, but he did it on purpose. And bro, I don't know how he took this shot like he did, but man, that shit must have been painful, boy. Cause he throws that shot, clocks him. Damien immediately comes with the uppercut of the gods into the body, boy. And he literally lifts this nigga up off the ground to when he drops on one knee. He hit him so hard, bro. You saw the shot go through his back and then the fucking sweat just fucking flies off his back, dude. Shit is crazy. And they're getting into it so hard now because, like, you know, you had a in-between round where he's like, you gotta just fight now. It's time. Like, forget all that other stuff. Forget everything that it was. Forget everything. Go right now. You gotta put everything on the line and just fight. Be ferocious. I'm not gonna lie. That was a dope Rocky speech. You could probably tell that Rocky probably wrote that. But my Godfather did a hell of a job of giving it. I'm not gonna lie. What he said, be ferocious. I was like, go be ferocious. This shit's hard as fuck, son. And they're doing anime shit, bro. They're fucking cross-countering each other. They are throwing down. Crazy, bro. Crazy. We all know. Eventually, Creed starts really putting that work in. He knows when the dirty shit's coming. He's not fighting or complaining to the refs. He's just taking it as it comes and dismantling this nigga as he should, as Felix should have. And then he looks for that one shot when Damien comes forward and then he got the cross guard and he splits that motherfucker right to, knocks this nigga out. And bro, this nigga John Major fell. He had the fucking slob hanging all the way to the ground and he dropped, bro. So, they had to put everything into that one. Had to. I'll say my only nitpick about this fight is simply, I don't think that the length was too short, but compared to the other fight, it was basically the same. You can't have your final fight be just the same, if not a touch shorter than the fight that you had before. Okay? I'm just saying. I feel like we could have gave some extra time with that, right? But after the fight, you know, they celebrate. And there was even moments in, like, the fight where, like, after 2 rounds, they got some late shots in, but you can tell that neither of them was, like, they weren't just taking pleasure out of it. You know what I'm saying? They were fighting, but it was, like, it was more than that. It didn't seem like they truly hated each other like that. But I just thought it was sick, because, like, and then the other bit in the fight, and I have to say, I don't know who did the score for that part when they're in this fucking, you know, like there's nobody around, but the fucking lighting's going crazy and turning green and red and stuff. And these niggas is literally for like 2 minutes just fucking grunting and just like, and this nigga John Major be fighting on the gloves and doing all this shit to get himself back in the fight. And it's just sick, bro, because you see that these niggas had to reach down and pull out that dog. But this was really the only way. There wasn't going to be no talking this out. We had to get this match. And like I said, I don't think this nigga hated Donnie like that. But it was, we're really going to see who's the best when we both leave it all out there. Let me just get this one shot. Then we'll finally know and we can put all this to bed, bro. Because then he goes, he celebrates or whatever. Then he goes to his locker room. And he's just kind of sitting there And he tells him, I'm sorry. He's like, I should have found a way to keep in contact with you, bro. Like, it was my fault that stuff went down with you and how you got locked up. And bro, the best line in the movie, because that's just what John Majors does apparently, and his delivery and everything, bro. I felt it and it hurt, but it was so good. He was like, we was kids, bro. Wasn't on you. It never was. That's like that's everything, bro. That says everything about this movie. He knew the whole time. Honestly, he was playing it up to get that fight. But more than anything, he just wanted a chance to live out his dream. Did he take it too far and do extra stuff he shouldn't have done? Yeah. But he, you know what I'm saying? He wanted to finally get to the point, I guess, where he could accept his own mistakes, Creed's mistakes, and just live with it. Because you can't get it back, bro. There's no sense in looking back and keeping this chip on your shoulder, because at the end of the day, you'll never get that time back. And yeah, that's brought you this far, and that aggression and that attitude towards the world and wanting to take it out on somebody and having somebody to blame is what we all do as human beings. But at the end of the day, sometimes everybody's to blame or no one is at all. That's just how life is sometimes, bro. That's just how it is. So to get that resolution between those two, absolutely love it. And this nigga like sheds a tear, bro, because that had to be everything on him. And then you could tell that Donnie's face just like, he didn't feel great about the fight. He wasn't so happy. Everybody else was going hard as fuck. He wasn't. He was sad. But when he finally heard that from him, I know that had to lift the biggest weight off of him. And then he told him as well. He says it wasn't on you either. And bro, when he dropped that tear, I was like, man. And he was like, you know where to find me if you need me. And they do their little handshake that they did when they were kids. So good, bro. And he's like, go celebrate. You know what I'm saying? So, love the way it wrapped up and ended. Like I said, a couple of nitpicks I just had with the movie. I do think they were kind of preaching a couple different messages and didn't really tell us the answer, because the whole thing is, like I was saying, with Bianca telling him, and they're actually going through it with their daughter because their daughter's getting in fights and things like that. And he's like, she should know how to protect herself. And Bianca's like, well, she shouldn't have to fucking know how to do that. She should know how to talk these things out and assess her emotions, basically, right? And it's kind of crazy because they come at the end, while that all may be well and true, you maybe should want to talk about things. At the end of the day, words can only do so much, and sometimes you gotta fucking throw down. Alright? And that's just what it comes to. So, that message was a little confusing for me, but I think the main thing is just knowing when to fight and when not to fight. That's the most important thing that you can really take away from this movie. Right? Also, like I said, I think that the length of that final fight, little off based on how long the other fight was. I will say, like I said, I do think it would have been nice to have Rocky in there a little bit. Just kind of seems like we didn't forgot about this nigga. But, and then with Damien, we needed 10 to 15 more total minutes in this movie. In my mind, it came in just under 2 hours, hour and 56, something like that. We need about 10 to 15 more minutes. The reason why I say that is because we recycled the scene showing that flashpoint of when their lives changed and all that. And I get how important that scene was. But we needed more scenes of Damien in prison, or any scenes of him in prison or something like that. We needed to see how he changed from who he was to who he is now. You know what I'm saying? And why he's like this. We know it's prison, bro, but to get a visual of that would just be dope. One of the sickest scenes in this movie is showing John Majors in his dumpy, ratty apartment with the eye of the fucking tiger as he's working out and shit. And then he's doing shit like jail shit where he takes his fucking sock and is washing his face with the soap and things like that. He's doing little stuff to show you that like this nigga's never left that place. In a way, he's still in a cage, but he's fighting so hard. And this is why he has that chip on his shoulder. Let us see that. Let us see the terrible things he probably had to do in prison. Some of it, any of it. But we didn't get that. So, all in all, I say this is a 9 out of 10 movie, people. This is movie of the year. I don't really even think it's that close, to be quite honest with you. Quantumania is in the discussion too, but this movie shines more because all the characters have point of views where you understand where they're coming from, but they also do a lot of dumb shit at the same time. It makes you aggravated, it makes you happy, it makes you sad. You feel a whole range of emotions in this. And swear to God, every time this nigga plays a villain, you just get better and better. But Kang and then fucking Damien, shit, can't even make this shit up. He's the best actor in the world, people. I'm gonna do another video to really get into this, but he's the best actor in the world. I think at this point, it's kind of hard to deny that. But y'all let me know what y'all thought about the movie. You know what I'm saying? I know I went long tooth in this review, but it's a great movie, bro. You got to go watch this in the theaters. Try to watch it in the Dolby Cinema. Okay, you need the fucking sound going everywhere. You want to feel the rumble in the seat. Try to go watch this in the theater, people. You won't regret it. I'm pretty sure you won't regret it. So, like, comment, subscribe, people. This has been the Creed 3 movie review. I'm out. Fuck. God damn. Shit was too good, boy.